Purposely. Your life, God's purpose. Listen at purposely.com.
From the time I was a little girl, I said that I wanted to write. I wanted to write a book. I wanted to write lots of books. And as I got older and started on my journey and started doing more writing, I discovered something. Writing and writing a book is a whole lot harder than what I thought it would be. I'm Julie Lyles Carr, and this is God on the Go, part of the Purposely Podcast Network. We've been in a series about what it means to finish strong, finishing strong, how to know when to quit, how to know when to stay. And today, we're going to unpack something when you hit some of those challenges along the way so that you can finish strong. So for many years, I said that I wanted to write, and I had some different opportunities come up from time to time, and I would send stuff in, and there would be someone who makes books, someone called a publisher who would say they were interested in some of the things I was writing, and I would send it all in, and they would take a look at it, and they'd say, well, sorry, maybe not, maybe change this, maybe do that. And I had hit a point where I was really discouraged. I thought, I don't know that this is ever going to happen. Maybe I should just walk away. And then came one more phone call in which someone said, hey, I do think there's a publisher who might be interested in this. Could you rewrite a few things and do this and do that? And we're going to try again. And I have to be honest, there was a lot in me that thought, I don't want to try again. I don't want to be disappointed. It makes me so sad when these things don't happen. And yet in that moment, and I prayed, okay, God, I will do this, but please help me in this, because this is hard. This is hard to try and not get anywhere and try again and not get anywhere. And that ended up being the time that I could have walked away, and yet it felt like God was saying, work a little harder. And I did. And I ended up being able to do my first book. And now today I've written almost 25 books. Now, that doesn't mean that every time you work harder, everything goes the way that you would hope it would. But what it does mean is that there is a lot to be said about not giving up too early, about finishing strong all the way through, and letting God guide you to know when it's time to just put on the gas and push a little bit harder. Now, here's something great to know about when you work just a little bit harder. Check this out. Do you know what gets bigger when you work hard and you do new things you haven't done before? If you said your brain, you're right. Your brain gets bigger when you work harder and learn new things. My brain got a little bit bigger every time that I turned in new writing, every time that I worked a little bit harder on my writing to see if I couldn't maybe get to do a book. There's a guy in the Bible who really had to work harder, even though he knew he was doing what God wanted him to do, even though he knew that what he was doing was really important. He faced a lot of pushback, a lot of challenges. His name was Nehemiah. And he went to go rebuild the wall at Jerusalem. So Jerusalem was the main city of the Jews, and it had been conquered and it had been torn down. There was a lot of damage in the city. Nehemiah was working for a king, and he had been taken away from his homeland. When he heard about how Jerusalem looked, how the people who were still living there were having to hide and were having such a terrible time, he really wanted to go and help make a difference. He talked to his boss, the king. He said, can I go and do this? The king said, all right. So Nehemiah went to go help rebuild that wall to make sure that Jerusalem could be more safe. But when he got there were people who made fun of him. There were people who kept trying to mess up what he had been working on. They were mean to the people that he had gathered to help him work on the wall at Jerusalem. And you know what? I would have understood if Nehemiah had said, this is getting too hard. I just need to stop. Instead, Nehemiah decided that what he felt like God was leading him to do was to work even harder. And he did. The Bible says that with one hand they would be building, on the other hand, they would have their weapons ready in case those people who were trying to make them stop started coming and giving them problems again. Nehemiah 2 verse 20 says, the God of heaven will give us success. We, his servants, will start rebuilding. There's a lot of power in deciding to work just a little bit harder. Now, you already know that when you work a little bit harder, when you learn something new, your brain gets bigger. But get this, here's what I think. I think when we work harder, our love for God gets even bigger. I think that our ability to push ourselves gets even bigger. There's a lot of beauty in finishing strong to know when to work harder. A big thank you to George Fox University, a university experience for your student that is customized and really developed around appreciating the unique call that your student has on their life. Check out georgefox.edu for more information. And I'll see you next time on God on the Go.